Try that one again, ladies and gentlemen. Are you able to hear me this evening? Just so we can kick off our action as soon as we possibly can. We can indeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the second time this evening, for the first time for all of you, welcome back to the Junior Saloon Car Championship official eSeries Season 4, round number 3, as we head to Oulton Park Island for this evening's action. Of course, we ran through a couple of the things. You couldn't hear us, but you could see all of the credits, the likes of myself, Joseph Black, the likes of Tom O'Farrell, the likes of Craig Chorney and Peter Cornelius. And this is going to be the calendar on your screens right now. Oulton Park is where we head today before Brands Hatch and Croft for the next 2 rounds. But this is, of course, we'll remind you of the standings quickly. I did run you through it. We'll run you through it again very, very quickly. Charlie Devlin, the leader of everybody. He's 19 points ahead of Zane Quecker. William Johnson in 3rd place. Ricky Pittman in 4th. Then Tom Justice, Jonty Restrick. Then Christopher Riley, the leader of the all-comers class. Callum Williams, Jake Critchley and Charlie Stapleton round out the top 10. Jaden Slater finds himself in 11th. Oliver Sweetman, Jacob Ellis and Sean Duffy are at the top 14. And this is just a reminder of what they are competing for. It's scholarship class first place, which is looking like the overall first place at the moment. Wins free entry to the Junior Saloon Car Championship scholarship held on the 21st of February at Pembury. All comers class first place, £100 PASR voucher in 2nd and 3rd, PASR and AOC cap and hoodie. But without further ado, we're going to try and take you track side. And well, we've got 2 minutes and 15 seconds left in qualifying, so we've taken you straight into the thick of the action. And Charlie Devlin is inevitably at the top of this field, 0.029 ahead of Zane Quecker in 2nd place. Those two have very much been the class of the field so far in the first few rounds of this season. And well, Jordan Taylor, the 3rd driver who he challenged Charlie in round 1, where he's not here today or last week. That is because he is busy working for Pirelli at the Formula 1. He will be back though next week and for the foreseeable future, so that will be exciting to see him throw himself straight back into contention. And don't forget, he is in the all-comers class, and that is a championship that is very much open at the moment, with Christopher Riley, Callum Williams on 49 and 46 respectively. Taylor, having only showed up to 1 round, has 35 points to his name, so he is in a very, very strong position. But Devlin even better, 148.290 is going to put him on provisional pole position here today with 1 minute 20 left in this qualifying session. The last few laps will be thrown in, and that will be Costello up to 15th place, setting a lap time 2.197 off of the pace of Devlin so far. And just a reminder that, of course, the yellow means scholarship, the white means all-comer, and Costello is a scholarship driver. But unfortunately, he registered his interest a little bit too late for all the servers to get themselves sorted out. So he will not have the corresponding colours next to his name. But now that I've told you that, hopefully you should be able to remember that information. But yeah, 39 seconds left in qualifying, so we've been thrown straight into it, and that's going to be Duffy up to a 149.791 into 12th place. Zane Quecker challenging for that first place, but I don't know how long he's going to have left. He's only going to have one more opportunity left to pick up one more lap and see if he can gain those 0.029 seconds he needs on Charlie Devlin to take that pole position. Sweetman finds himself 0.2 of a second back, and that's Critchley up to 6th place with a 148.697. So quite a few drivers within about 0.5 of a second, and that's another one. William Johnson, 4th place for him, a 48.592, which puts him just shy of 0.3 off of the back of our pole man as the checkered flag is waved. The last laps will be thrown in. Oliver Sweetman will not be improving. He's got a 4 minute 33, so he certainly will not be improving unless that's a timing tower error. But Devlin looks as though he's set to take another pole position as Kelso, Riley and Tom Justice's sessions have come to an end. Tom Justice again trying to start from the back of the field and work his way forward. Sutton will be joining him. The 92 will join him on the 12th row of this grid. Riley is going to peak, Christopher Riley that is, at 21st place, and Charlie Kelso will peak at 15th, 2 seconds off of the pace. But yeah, Charlie Devlin at the moment on for pole position, as everybody is on the circuit apart from the aforementioned 4 drivers, and of course the 2 right down the bottom of the timing tower, which is our broadcaster Tom O'Farrell, and the safety car, which we have not seen so far this season. Maybe that could change tonight, we're hoping not. A very wide moment for the car. It's just in front of Oliver Sweetman there, and he's going to pull off into the pit lane as Sweetman is going to come to the line and it's going to be a 48.659 in the end. So not the 4-minute lap time that was on the timing tower, but not a lap time close enough to Devlin to improve, really. And that's the top 3 finished. Slater's finished. Callum Paris is coming to the line with a 14th place, just outside of the 1-minute 49s. He gets 1-minute 52.025. Even Mason Turner slots in just behind him in 15th place as the laps are coming to an end. This looks as though it's going to be Jacob Ellis going, maybe improving, because he's got a little bit of time to go. He's got the final corner underway, and he will be coming into the pit lane. But that's going to be your order for this race. Devlin, Quecker, Sweetman, Johnson, Ellis, Slater, Critchley, Moron, and then Ricky Pittman, who joins me now in 9th place. And Ricky, well, it's been an interesting season for yourself so far, where you've been challenging almost at the top, not quite been able to get over that line. But how are you feeling about today's Oulton Park race?
Yeah, I feel like it feels good. The track feels good. Setup's getting there, but qualifying P10's not too bad. It's where I've been qualifying for most races, but I know I've definitely got more racecraft in me than qualifying, so I'll see how the races go now.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to keep an eye out on that one. And well, you've qualified 3/4 of a second off of Charlie Devlin, but of course you were challenging him last time out for a number of positions, and you were challenging right at the top for a number of positions. Are you feeling as though qualifying in the mid-pack is actually a disadvantage? Because race 2, of course, reverse grid, you could be thrown right up there if you're in around the 20s, but if you're right up the top, you get the benefit for race 1. If you're in the middle, you kind of don't really benefit from either. So is it one of those where you might even be slightly disappointed with an all-right qualifying performance?
Yeah, honestly, that sometimes just qualifying further back in the pack might just be more beneficial. Yeah, you might lose a bit in the race 1, but you can gain massively in race 2, which helps a lot in the points. So I've still got 2 rounds to think of what I'm going to do for qualifying, but it's not too bad P10. So.
And of course, you are 30 points off of the top in the scholarship and the overall standings as well. Is that something you're still looking at, with, of course, over 200 points still on offer?
Yeah, definitely. Still got plenty of points we can gain, so don't think I'm out of it quite yet. So.
Yeah, that's fair enough. We'll let you go and get prepared for your race. But thank you for joining us today. It's always good to get the voices of the grid, really. Of course, we spoke to Callum Paris last week, and it's not necessarily the drivers up the top, because if it was the drivers up the top, then we would be speaking to the same driver pretty much every single session, Charlie Devlin. But yeah, thank you for your time, Ricky, and well, good luck to you. But yeah, Charlie Devlin, 19 points ahead of Zane Quecker. Ricky, 11 off Zane. So with a lot of points on offer, there's still opportunities for all of these drivers to strike. They've had 2 rounds to get their feet under the door, really, in terms of fighting where they are. And Ricky is one of those drivers where he's still trying to find his feet, I think. Still trying to find out whether he is more towards the upper mid-pack or more towards right up the very top of this field. We will send you to just very briefly have a word from our partners over at Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing, and hopefully that'll take us straight up to the race start. Well then, ladies and gentlemen, we've got our 20-lap dash for race number 1 around Oulton Park ready to get underway. But first, we'll take a look at some of the liveries that some of these drivers have been putting on, and we'll take a look at some of these drivers in general. Of course, that's Peter Cornelius at the back of the field. Tom Justice has qualified in 24th. He'll be alongside James Sutton, and that was an intentional qualification at the back for the number 57. Dominic Jones and Christopher Riley make up the 11th row of the grid, and the Scotty, or in fact, Dominic Jones and Christopher Riley will make up the, I believe that is the 11th row of the grid. Indeed it is. I can't do my maths, as the producer's going to have to go back to the drone cam slightly further back, but we'll continue on and ignore my bad maths. Scotty O'Connor and Aidan Ingram find themselves on the 9th row with Rossi Costello and Charlie Kelso alongside each other. Jonty Restrick and Mason Turner in 16th and 15th respectively, and Callum will share the same line of the grid. That is Callum Williams and Callum Paris, Sean Duffy, Barnaby Brewer, and then Ricky Pittman and Charlie Stapleton, with Max Moron qualifying in a decent 8th place alongside Jake Critchley. Jaden Slater and Jacob Ellis line up on the 3rd row of the grid, William Johnson and Oliver Sweetman on the 2nd, and Zane Quecker alongside Charlie Devlin at the front row of this field. And it'll be a very interesting one to watch indeed. Some different grid positions taken. So, I mean, in particular, Charlie Stapleton, I don't know if you can see him in the background there, slightly off camber, slightly wider on that one. So it'll be interesting to see the run down towards the first corner. Of course, that will be the inside line for the first corner. So he's angling already to pick that one up, but all the other drivers are ready. And I'm sure he's ready to go as well as we tick down to what will be the final 15 seconds. The final lights are coming on for race number 1. There will be 6 red lights, then a green flag will be waved at the back, and we will get our action underway for race 1 here at round number 3. And the action's underway. Charlie Devlin gets off to a supreme launch, and that might be Zane Quecker tucking in right in behind him straight away. Indeed it is, but Oliver Sweetman is challenged by William Johnson down towards the first corner, but he covers off Johnson in the end. That might be Slater on the inside of Ellis if he's going to be able to get the run. He can't quite do so, so they filter through nice and cleanly through the first corner on this racetrack, and that's Charlie Devlin who leads the way ahead of Zane Quecker. Further back it's going to be Critchley and Slater who are challenging once again. That's Ricky Pittman gaining a position on Max Moron up into 8th ahead of the bright red car in 9th that you can see on your screens, just ahead of Charlie Stapleton, and defending from the number 27. They'll head down to the first hairpin on this racetrack, and it's very late on the brakes from Oliver Sweetman, late on the brakes for a number of the drivers as well. A little bit of communication problems and a few incidents, a few moments where there's collisions there, and that's more collisions. That's Jaden Slater getting caught out. He was slightly off of the circuit. Nobody allowed him any real space, and so he was cost right in that position, and he's dropped down to 8th and might be dropped down to 9th with Critchley challenging. Max Moron has managed to make his way past Ricky Pittman, but not for very long. Max Moron has, I believe that might be contact with somebody. Indeed it is contact with Ricky as they headed into the chicane, and he's come out of the other end of it right at the very back of this field. So Max, unfortunate for him in race 1, and yeah, just an incident on lap number 1 has cost him so much time, and that may well be unrecoverable time considering where he was challenging before. O'Connor and Jones right at the back, side by side, as are Ingram and Stapleton. A lot of these positions being contested, and is that going to be Callum Paris making contact with, I believe that to be Williams? Indeed it is, and there's position swapping all over. Somebody half on, half off the circuit as they're trying to make their way through. Early braking though is going to drop them more positions. Carnage on this early lap, and that is going to be Mason Turner, squeezed off in the end. A couple of erratic braking zones for him, and he was unable to pick up the momentum. Contact between himself and another car that saw him right down to the back, and there's a couple of pitters on lap number 1, Jonty Restrick and Tom Justice, as Critchley is side by side with Pittman. Pittman is on the inside and he does pick up the position, but Critchley gets a much better exit, and the Veloce driving number 32 looks to challenge back. Barnaby Brewer on the background of these two as well, and Ricky's 1.9 off of the back of Slater. So the incident that was earlier on looks like it's actually cost these two more than it cost Slater himself. Critchley pulls alongside. Can he pull ahead of Ricky Pittman with the exit? Yes indeed he can, and well, he's going to pull right ahead with the straight line speed on the exit. Pittman does briefly have a look to challenge, but there's only so much challenging that you can do, as there may well be a swap for the lead. Charlie Devlin and Zane Quecker are fighting down the hill. Who's going to come out on top? It looks like Devlin for the moment, but Zane Quecker still challenging, still making Charlie Devlin go for a defensive line to try and ruin his exit, but Quecker in doing so has actually potentially ruined his own exit. What a slingshot that might be. be, unless Devlin covers it off, and indeed he does. The 23 has a lot of racing now about him, and he's used it to full effect right there. Oliver Sweetman on the back of these two, hoping that one of them makes a mistake, hoping that there's contact between these two drivers. But either way, it is going to be Charlie Devlin who leads, but not for much longer potentially. Quecker looking to the inside once again. Is he going to go for the late braking move? Devlin's going to give him the space, and he indeed is going to try it. He's swept through, but he's still remaining alongside Devlin, trying to push him to the inside. Oliver Sweetman boxing himself in on the outside to maybe make it 3 wide. He does so, and he's going to keep a tyre on the grass, but in the end he backs out. It's a sensible decision, and Quecker through on Devlin. He takes the lead of the race, but for how much longer is he going to be able to hold on to that head? Onto the next lap, still side by side. This fight has been a great one to kick off proceedings this evening. It's been clean. There's not been any contact so far, and Charlie Devlin holds first, but for how much longer is that? I'm not sure that it's going to last any longer. Is that... I mean, I said there was no contact, and instantly Zane Quecker has a little bit of a wash wide, and through he goes into first place. Charlie Devlin losing a position to Oliver Sweetman as well, who breaks early, so he doesn't challenge Quecker, but he might be challenging on the exit. Charlie Devlin, quicker speed through the corner, and there is brief contact between himself and Sweetman that drops the number 9 behind the number 23, and even behind William Johnson in the 367, and might even be behind Jacob Ellis as well, as this has just gotten all a bit scrappy, and our championship leaders off of the circuit, dropping to 5th, might be dropping to 6th, and not quite. But that's opened up the door for Jaden Slater to come right back into it, and he might be fighting in that battle as Rossi Costello even dropping down to 20th place off the circuit at the same point that our championship leader Charlie Devlin went off briefly, but in the end Devlin was able to recover a little bit better, and that's Costello down to 20th place. Charlie Stapleton 15th, Callum Paris 14th, but now makes his way up to 13th as he threw on Dominic Jones. As well, as has been the case with the first couple of rounds of the Junior Saloon Car Championship, it's very much been aggressive early on, and there's very much been moves happening almost constantly, if not constantly, and we might have another one set up here. Charlie Stapleton on the back of Dominic Jones, as we are 5 minutes, a quarter of the way through race number 1, and still all of these positions right up in the air. It's not as if some drivers have run away with it like we've seen previously with the likes of Zane Quecker and with the likes of Charlie Devlin. Instead, it's being contested up at the top and in the mid-pack of this field. Callum Williams defending late on the front of Max Moron, and Stapleton and Jones are side by side. Jones gets the better exit. Stapleton tries to pull through, tries to hold the line as they head out of the final corner and up towards the first one. That might be very, very tight between them as Callum Williams went for the outside line, as did Moron, and they've managed to filter through nice and comfortably, as that's never mind because that's contact. Dominic Jones, and that is unfortunate. Dominic Jones, Charlie Stapleton coming together and dropping down the field. There's been a few incidents, especially in that first corner, where some drivers are just struggling with traction, washing wide, and they are really feeling the effects of it. And hopefully that's going to be the last one that we see, and potentially the worst one that we see here around Oulton Park Island here today. It would be disappointing if we do get any others, because of course we want them to fight it out on the track and not have it affected by any form of incidents. But now Christopher Riley on the back of Williams trying to make his way through, and can he pull to the inside? Well, he's going to try to, and he's going to pull alongside, but is he going to have the momentum to pull ahead? That's going to come down to both his exit out of the corner and the way he set up his car down the straights, and it looks as though he does have slightly better straight line speed than Williams, but through the chicane he's going to be squeezed and spun round. Him and Williams have come together, and the cars behind didn't have the time to react. So Christopher Riley drops massively down the field. 21st place for him, and he's right back in the thick of things with the likes of Justice as Aidan Ingram. Here we go, there's another one. Ingram and Charlie Stapleton, who's had his fair share of incidents this race, drops further down, drops back to 20th place. We do have a couple of penalties to speak to you about, and Tom Justice actually came into the pits because of a drive-through penalty that he ended up picking up. There's 5-second penalties as well for Ingram, Paris and Sutton, those drivers further down the order, so not in contention for many points, but still every single point counts, especially at these single point rounds. When we get to double point rounds as well, the next round even at Brands Hatch, well, that will heat up. Aidan Ingram now on the back of Charlie Stapleton trying to make his way through. Those two have lost that second gap to Mason Turner, and that's the way that I look at it, to say that it's going to be a little bit slower, a little bit off of the pace of the other drivers, and that's really a marker to see whether somebody is able to gain close or get further back, whether they do have that 1 second gap between them, and that does seem to be what Turner's been able to eke out. Ricky Pittman, the latest driver, with a 5-second time penalty added to his name. He's in 8th place, just behind Critchley, but now he will drop all the way back down to 10th if that 5-second penalty is the only one that group picks up, and if the gaps aren't changed. Christopher Riley going for an ambitious move. Dominic Jones going for an even more ambitious move, and it might open the door to Riley after all. On the inside of Justice, bumping between Justice and Jones, and they will be 3 wide as they head up towards the next couple of corners. This will be a very interesting one because, of course, Callum Riley is, or Christopher Riley even, is going to be the driver with the better straight line speed, but he decides to back out. Justice and Jones, though, do not do the same thing, and Tom Justice, the number 57, moves up to 19th place. Jones drops to 20th, but I get the feeling this fight isn't over. Charlie Kelso and Scotty O'Connor are fighting for 11th and 12th at the moment, and Kelso, of course, that car on the inside line, trying to make his way through the livery versus the non-livery. Kelso versus O'Connor, and in fact it is going to be Charlie Kelso who might be able to squeeze his way through the non-livery car of O'Connor, not Charlie Kelso, but they remain locked in battle. Oliver Sweetman, fastest lap of the race, 48.436, as he gains in on Quecker and opens up the gap to Johnson and Devlin in behind, but Kelso and O'Connor will continue to fight towards the first corner on this racetrack once again, and Callum Paris looking to get himself involved. He's going to make it 3 wide. Is this a good decision? I'm thinking not, but in the end it's just about who yields first, and who yielded first was Scotty O'Connor, so Paris made his way through, and Kelso yielded last, so he held 11th place. O'Connor will try to fight back, will try to make his way back through and hold on to the position. Williams and Moron looking very interested at the back of this number 11 car, and in the end it looks like Scotty O'Connor is going to get the run, but not quite, as we're getting a few more track limit penalties added to some of these drivers' names, and one of them being Callum Paris, who picks up another to add to his name and his total, as Oliver Sweetman and Zane Quecker, the race lead, is being fought over, and that is going to be Quecker, I think, running over the curbing and washing wide, pushing Oliver Sweetman with him, and he went off of the circuit to the number 9, and Zane, aggressive defence, maybe intentionally, maybe not intentionally, but either way, the 44 does lead the way and has opened the door once again to William Johnson and Callum Devlin, who've just cracked that 2nd mark and will try to make their way back into this fight. But these two, I mean, they've gotten aggressive on multiple occasions this season. Callum Paris having problems dropping down. They've been aggressive so far this season in their moves, and Zane Quecker has actually had problems with track limits, which has cost him. Huge incident. Rossi Costello and James Sutton, and Costello goes flying around, and Sutton, he has had his fair share of incidents in this race as well, and he finds himself unfortunately right at the back of this field as these two gain in, and fastest lap for Charlie Devlin, a personal fastest, in a 48.5. Of course, 48.4 is the fastest of all from Oliver Sweetman, and that's very wide, speaking of Sweetman, in the foreground of these cars. Johnson in the 367 car, trying to hold Devlin to the inside line, but Devlin did, he did take the inside line. He didn't yield, and he was allowed through. William Johnson looking to get the switchback on the exit of the corner because he did have the better lines. So you'd imagine he would have the better run, but Charlie Devlin just squeezing him to the inside. This is a man who knows exactly how to defend, and he's doing exactly that right now as Sweetman and Quecker are having a fight all of their own. So the top 4 positions all hotly contested in the early stages, and heading towards the second half of this race. Scotty O'Connor in the meantime alongside Max Moron. Max in the red and blue Phoenix Simsport car, and Scotty O'Connor the privateer without the livery, and it looks as though can Max squeeze through? Yes, he can. Can Stapleton get the run through as well? Not quite, and he actually goes off the circuit. There's been a lot of tyres dipped into the grass here today, so maybe the grass doesn't have as much of an effect on the cars as it potentially should do. It's always worth trying to exploit going off of the circuit and all sorts of things in these sims to find extra hundreds of thousands of seconds, as Oliver Sweetman tries to pull through on the outside. Zane Quecker just about squeezes him wide. I mean, he gives him a car's width, but Oliver Sweetman trying to take a little bit more than that and ended up off of the circuit. Once again is a right old squeeze from Zane Quecker. They both are very, very wide on the entry, and so get both decent exits, but of course Sweetman with with him having the wider one, he's going to try and make his way through. Can he do so? The outside might be switching to the inside if he can get the run on Zane Quecker, but no, he switches actually back to the outside. But no, Zane Quecker in the end holds P1. Sweetman gets the early break, gets the early turn in, and gets the exit as they head down the hill towards turn number 3, the next braking zone on this circuit. Who is going to yield first? Is it Quecker? Is it Sweetman? The answer is neither, as they are locked in battle still. Quecker squeezed off of the circuit, Sweetman squeezed off of the circuit the other side, and they will remain side by side. We've had some great fighting between these two drivers, and it's only set to continue. Late lunge from Zane, and can he find his way through? He can indeed, and Oliver Sweetman goes wide. Charlie Devlin slots his way back up into P2, and it might be normal service resumed for the 23 if he can get through on Quecker as well. He's of course had problems in this race. He at one point dropped 3 seconds off of the leader, but he's managed to fight his way back, mainly due to Sweetman and Quecker tripping over each other, and Zane Quecker leading the way still, but for how much longer? Rossi Costello has called it quits in race 1 after a couple of unfortunate incidents for himself. And Charlie Devlin, in fact, as I'm having a look at the penalty reports, has a 5-second time penalty to add to his name, as does William Johnson. So this has essentially become a 2-driver battle. Zane Quecker, Oliver Sweetman. It already was. It's become the same thing again. But of course, there is a physical car, the 23, in between Oliver Sweetman and Zane Quecker, and the number 44 will try and take as much of an advantage as he possibly can from that. Oliver Sweetman will try to get rid of that advantage as quickly as he can, and he did have a brief peek on the inside into the final braking zone, but couldn't find his way through. The other drivers with 5-second time penalties since we last updated you: Critchley, Sutton, and well, that's Sutton again, adding up to 10 seconds. Johnson and Tom Justice as well. And of course, I did mention Johnson. He hasn't got another one. He's still got those 5 seconds worth of penalties that were added to his name the first time around. We've got 5 minutes with 3/4 of the way through race number 1, and Zane is in a very strong position with Charlie Devlin literally right behind him. But with that 5-second time penalty added to his name, Zane is going to have that a little bit more comfort. And this is not a position he's found himself in before. In fact, he's found himself in the opposite position, where he was trying to hold on to the lead of the race, as Devlin doesn't worry about that 5-second time penalty. He thinks he can still eke out that gap, but he's lost the exit. Sweetman did pull alongside, but he remained in behind in the end. Zane Quecker, as I was saying, I mean, round number 1, race 2 of this season, he was really struggling with the track limits. He picked up a 5-second, and in the end that cost him the race win, because he was something along the lines of under a tenth or just over a tenth, something along those lines, ahead or behind even at the end of the race, the car that finished second on circuit, as that was a good move there. Charlie Kelso being overtaken, Williams making his way through, Charlie Devlin, Zane Quecker going at it again, and a little bit of bumping between the two. Quecker moving to the outside, but Devlin is going to get the run through and just about covers him off. I mean, he's such a good defensive driver, but that's a rare mistake. Contact between himself and Quecker. Can he hold it in a straight line? No, he can't. Our championship leader goes in a plume of smoke out of the fight for this race lead. Zane Quecker, surely that's going to have something cost for him. Maybe a penalty added to his name. So Oliver Sweetman in a great position right now in second place. William Johnson with that 5-second in third. So Jaden Slater might have a late opportunity to pick up a second place at the very, very least. 3 minutes 21 left in the session. Quecker leads on track, but of course the incident between himself and Charlie Devlin might not be the case for him, as there's another 5-second penalty to Charlie Devlin's name. He didn't need to defend it too hard, I don't think, did Zane, because he should have the confidence in himself that he was going to be able to hold the position, or hold at least within 5 seconds worth of time. But unfortunately he was unable to, and at the moment our podium looks as though it's going to be Oliver Sweetman, Jaden Slater and Jacob Ellis in third place. Jacob is 1.3 ahead of Charlie Devlin, and he's going to hope to hold on to that, as Max Moron on the inside of Charlie Kelso. These two have not had a quiet race at all, and it's going to be Charlie Stapleton leading, Max Moron leading Charlie Kelso, and Callum Paris more issues for the Lightning McQueen number 11. Disappointed he's not chosen the number 95, but maybe Charlie Kelso got there first. But yeah, he drops to the very last position, as we've had James Sutton retire from the race as well. And well, Jaden Slater on the back of Johnson now, knowing he might not have to make that move, or he might not know that he doesn't need to make that move, because of course they only get told about the penalties post-race, or if they watch the streams. So it's very much suggested that they either watch the streams or have somebody watch the streams for them and relay them the information. But yeah, so Charlie Devlin, 5 seconds worth of penalties, plus the fact that he's further down the order. Currently he's projected to drop behind Ricky Pittman into 8th place, or just ahead of Ricky Pittman now, as they cross the last split. So 7th place for Devlin opens up the gap for the likes of Zane Quecker to fight their way right back up. And, well, if you have a look at the championship standings, well, Zane Quecker is 19 points behind. He'll gain those points on Charlie Devlin, and every little helps at this point of the season. But, of course, if he gets those penalties, then it'll be added. It doesn't really matter. This will blow the championship wide open with Johnson as well, the third-place driver, picking up a penalty to boot. The third place in the championship and the third place in the race as well. So the likes of, say, Oliver Sweetman get the opportunity to open up the doors for themselves to fight their way back into the championship fight. But we will see what happens in the rest of the season, throughout the course of the season as well. As well, we are on to what will most likely be our final lap, and Zane does lead the way 3/4 of a second ahead of Oliver Sweetman. And I think that might just be enough for him, as well, Jaden Slater looking on the back of Johnson, and hopefully he knows the information that the 5-second penalty has been added to the time of Johnson. So he doesn't need to go for this fight if he doesn't want to, but of course he does want to. He'll want to get that on track just in case it gets reported, and also the fact that he doesn't know that information at all. But yeah, 26 seconds. This will definitely be the last lap of this race. And Jaden Slater all over the back of William Johnson for the final podium position. But Zane, I mean, he's had so much pace, so much promise across the course of the first few rounds of this season. And it's so unsurprising to see him in second place in the championship with 77 points. But mistakes keep getting in his way. He keeps faltering at a crucial time. And today himself and Devlin came together in race 1. Then that might cost him yet another race victory. It'll be the second one cost due to a penalty. But for the moment at least, Quecker wins here at Oulton Park. Race number 1 has finished. Oliver Sweetman comes across the line second. Most likely will be promoted to first. William Johnson third. Jaden Slater will pick up that podium after that. And then Charlie Devlin, of course, penalties added to his name. We'll see Jacob Ellis moved up to third place. They'll be reviewed post-event, I would imagine, and I'd imagine as well the result will be changing. Fourth place then will head to Jake Critchley, or 7th place on track. And I'll run through the on-track positions just because I don't believe anybody in the lead had the penalties, and those are the most crucial ones that I remember. So Jacob Ellis in the all-comers class picking up a podium for himself, which is very good for his championship tally. Then Jake Critchley, of course, 7th place, Ricky Pittman, Barnaby Brewer, and it'll be Sean Duffy to round out the top 10. Charlie Kelso on my screen is 11th place, but of course we know that's not the fact. It's going to be Callum Williams who finds himself in 11th place, with Charlie Stapleton in 12th, Max Moron in 3rd, and then 13th even, and then Charlie Kelso in 14th. Tom Justice is in 15th at the end of this race, with Aidan Ingram 16th. Christopher Riley 17th, Scotty O'Connor 18th, John T. Restrick 19th, and then Dominic Jones rounds out the top 20, with Mason Turner and Callum Paris rounding out our finishers. We've had a couple of interesting incidents in that race number 1 as they tried to get used to the Oulton Park circuit, and well, I think I'll blame it on me, because every single time I say it was good racing, it was nice and clean, something happens that just dispels that. But either way, that is the end of race number 1, and well, we'll get the opportunity to speak to the man who won on the circuit. May well not be at the end, but we'll see about that one. But Zane, I mean, race 1 at Oulton Park, what was your verdict?
I'd just like to say I'm really sorry to Charlie. He really drove well in that race. He really did a great effort driving back from 5th, I think. But I had a great start. Then from there, it's just a lot of pressure on me because a lot of defending involved. But from there, just kept on the black stuff, and yeah.
Yeah, certainly, and it was, of course, a very good race from yourself in terms of the race pace wise, and well, race number 2, of course, you'll be starting further back. How How are you feeling about starting further back? Do you think you'll be able to get through easily? Do you think it'll be a bit more of a challenge, or are you just not thinking about it and you're just going to try and gain as many positions as you can?
It would just be like any other race, really. Like any other round we've raced around previously. We'll just have to see how it goes for this next race. So, yeah.
Fair enough. What's the hopes then, coming from nearer the back of the grid?
Hopefully a top 5.
Well, there we go then. Well, good luck to you, and thank you very much for joining me, and good luck for race number 2.
Thank you.
And we'll get the opportunity briefly to speak to Oliver Sweetman as well, who ended up in 2nd place. But of course, after that incident between Quecker and our championship leader, Charlie, it might mean that Oliver Sweetman picks up his race victory. But yeah, how was that race from your perspective?
Yeah, it was a really good race. I mean, I did a lot of watching Zane and Charlie, but overall it was really good, really. Shame I didn't get P1. Some dodgy moves, but from Zane. But it's just Rubbins racing, really.
It certainly is. We don't want to go too over the top with it, of course. As I mean, of course, I'll ask you the same question I asked Zane. Race number 2, starting further back. What's the hopes? What's the aspirations?
Well, obviously the hopes to get podium, really. But I mean, it's going to be a tough race. Tough race to get to the top of the leaderboard. But we're going to try and get a podium. That's really the hope.
Yeah, certainly. And well, I mean, is it going to be a case of trusting the drivers around you? Of course, we saw quite a few moments in race number 1 where drivers might have just crossed the line, but are you going to just sit back and watch like you did in race 1, or is it going to be more of a case of you're going to be the aggressor?
I mean, considering it's a reverse grid, I think you kind of have to be an aggressor, really, to get to the top. But yeah, obviously there's going to be a bit of trust within the drivers to maintain no contact. But yeah, hopefully we get a podium.
Yeah, well, good luck to you, and yeah, good luck for race number 2.
Thank you.
And we will be going to race number 2 in just under a minute's time. Of course, our reverse grid race. But that was Oliver Sweetman joining us in the commentary box. And yeah, race number 2, the reverse grid race around Oulton Park, is ready to get underway very shortly. And hopefully we'll be getting a little bit of a calmer one for the stewards' sake, at least. But it will be Tom Justice who will be starting on pole position alongside James Sutton, who will line up alongside him on the front row. Dominic Jones in 3rd place, Christopher Riley in 4th, and Scotty O'Connor will line up in 5th alongside Aidan Ingram. Rossi Costello then in 7th place, and Charlie Kelso in 8th, as we get a good view of our poleman Justice, who qualified only 12 seconds off the pace today, so a little bit better than last week. John T. Restrict in 9th place, as I mentioned, and then Mason Turner rounding out the top 10, Callum Paris in 11th, and Callum Williams alongside him in 12th. But the lights are coming on, the drivers are ready, and the action gets underway for race number 2, and that's Max Baron with a jump start. Unfortunately for him, Tom Justice gets off to a supreme launch. Dominic Jones and Christopher Riley are alongside each other, heading down towards the first corner. Who's going to be able to come out on top? Who's going to be able to edge it out? It looks like Christopher Riley has been able to, and Dominic Jones drops back. Now the pressure goes on to James Sutton. Is he going to be able to get through on the number 92? He's going to just about sit behind for the time being, as Charlie Kelso is going to go for it on Scotty O'Connor. They fought in race 1. They're going to fight again, and they remain side by side once again on the exit of the second braking zone of this lap. Charlie Kelso looks like he's just edged his way through and might get through on Dominic Jones as well. The inside line does beckon for him, although it does just about shut. The corner is a bit tighter than a few of them were expecting. One of them, James Sutton, who's going to lose out on the back of that. And, well, again, a bit of rubbing on lap number 1 of this race. Tom Justice, though, leads, and because of that rubbing, leads quite significantly. He has a 2.2 second gap ahead as James Sutton tries to be later on the brakes than Dominic Jones, and he's successful in gaining P4 right back. But Jones giving a little bit of a bump on the exit, or given a little bit of a bump on the exit to be more specific, is still trying to fight away. Costello trying to get through on Jones, as well as is Jonty Restrick trying to get through on anybody at this point. I think a lot of them are looking for moves. This is going to be Christopher Riley alongside Costello, who's going to get through. He's a little bit on the grass once again, and he's going to be able to get through. No, he's not. The exit for Costello was just about enough to fight his way through. This has been interesting to watch with these cars as we come to the end of lap number 1, where the driver with the better exit isn't necessarily the one who's going to retake the position. That's been the case with Costello and with Riley in that sort of scenario, where Riley got the much better exit, Costello had the much better straight line speed, and they continued through. James Sutton under pressure towards the first corner by Dominic Jones, and of course Costello waiting in the background here. But he's not going to go for a move just yet, although he does pretty much bump draft Jones down towards the first corner and get a significantly better exit, slingshotting himself past 1, past 2, and that is Costello up to 4th place with a sensational move that he pulls off with a late braking one into turn 3 just to seal it, and inspires the fight once again. Sutton, Jones, Riley looking for the outside for the next corner. But yeah, it feels as though there's very, very aggressive defences from a lot of these drivers, and that's Costello gone off. That's Sutton going for the wrong layout, it looks like, and that's Costello even further off. Mason Turner involved in a moment as well, and everyone seems to be struggling with that hairpin. Callum Paris, also another driver to suffer issues from moments in there, and yeah, there's a couple of drivers who've fallen down off of the back of that. Lap number 2 looks like it's been a bit more of a challenge in that hairpin than lap 1, bumping Restrick and Jones. Jones ending up in 6th place, Restrick dropping to 9th, and Ingram and Riley gaining the position through on the number 67. James Sutton right in the thick of it now, which is unfortunate for him because he was, of course, fighting up at the top. The reverse grid did see him right up the top, but now he finds himself right in the mid-pack, and he's only just ahead of our championship leader, Charlie Devlin, who will want to make his way through, of course. He started right at the back, he's made his way through, and at the moment he is the furthest forward, as Zane Quecker's only back in 19th spot. Oliver Sweetman, Jonty Restrick are side-by-side for 10th and 11th, as Christopher Riley and Aidan Ingram are side-by-side for 7th and 8th. There is so much going on the circuit, it's very hard to keep a track of all of it, so fair play to the stewards for trying to keep a look at it live and keep the track limits within the bounds of the rules. And speaking of track limits, we've got our first warning of the day, or our first penalty of the day. It's a 5-second to our 2nd place driver, as that's Jonty Restrick coming together with Slater. Don't think he was expecting Slater to be so fast in the apex, nor Charlie Devlin, and both find their way through on not just Restrick but also Riley. Restrick tries to find his way through on Riley as well, but he can't quite do so. Sutton having a peek to the inside, contact, and that's Sutton, who looks like he's gone round. It's a half spin for him. It's a bit more for Jonty Restrick, and it's a bit more for the unlucky Charlie Stapleton, and it looks like Zane Quecker has had a similar bad luck. He drops down, and that race 1 on circuit victory looks so far away now for the number 44, who's in 23rd out of 24. Only Charlie Stapleton's behind him, and he's 4.4 off of the back of Max Moron. That's unfortunate for him. Oliver Sweetman on the inside line now of Ricky Pittman into the next braking zone. It becomes the outside though, and it's Pittman who holds station, holds ahead, holds 7th place. Sweetman holding 8th for now, with Charlie Devlin breathing down his neck. This is sort of the point 5 minutes in where the quickest drivers, so the ones who were at the top at race 1, have been able to make their way through into the top 10 and have been able to really make progress. And Devlin and Sweetman are the two who have had that benefit. Sweetman, of course, only just off the back of Ricky Pittman, who's qualified in the mid-pack, ended up in the mid-pack in this race, as Ingram and Ellis, the latest drivers, with 5-second penalties. Of course, Aidan Ingram down in 22nd place, Jacob Ellis down in 15th. A late move further ahead from Pittman, a late move from Devlin, and that's contact between himself and Sweetman, and a bit more contact between himself and Sweetman. Opens the door to Jaden Slater. I think Devlin might be looking to give that one back to Sweetman, or is he not? Because there was a bit of contact, then he backed off, and then they just made contact again. So Charlie Devlin there, just a little bit of a hairy moment for himself and for Oliver Sweetman, but they've been able to keep it in a straight line. Dominic Jones, the latest driver to pick up a 5-second time penalty, is going to be fighting with Ricky Pittman again, but Pittman, with the overspeed, is able to hold it ahead. The inside line does beckon for a few of these drivers into the corner, very wide, and that's straight into the wall from Dominic Jones. Well, you don't want to exceed track limits, especially there where you're going to have a huge problem on your hands when there's a barrier right off of the circuit. Are they able to get through this corner this time? Indeed they are. Of course, the regular layout would have that chicane, but we don't have it in Oulton Park Island, and I think a couple of drivers fell for that early on. Oliver Sweetman and Devlin still side by side. I mean, they've been fighting all race long. They're surely bored of each other. This gives me flashbacks to round number 1 with Jordan Taylor, but that's a bump to the back of Devlin from Sweetman, and the number 9, he's driven into the wall. He's tried to go around, he's driven into the wall, and speaking of round, Jaden Slater is facing the wrong way, recovers to 16th and goes back round the wrong way again. So that is the 104, basically out of contention for this race. But a couple of weird incidents there has cost both of those drivers. Definitely, though, an unsafe rejoin from Slater, and I think he noticed that, which is why he panicked and went almost around once again, as Devlin on the inside, this time with Jacob Ellis, and he's going to make his way through on the 24. The 24, though, he's going to try and fight this one back, but how much is he going to have? Well, the straight line speed would beg to differ with me, but in the end, Devlin is going to be able to cut him off, just about to get enough ahead, so he's able to cut him off and hold 8th place, but a 3.7 gap further up is going to be very difficult for him to breach, as Barnaby Brewer gets through on William Johnson, and might be Jake Critchley finding his way through as well. It'll be interesting to see who is in the lead of this one, in fact, into turn number 1. And in the end, it is going to be Devlin to Ellis to Brewer to Johnson and to Critchley. So it remains in the same order, but there was a couple of side-by-sides that got very, very tetchy. Callum Paris, the latest with a 5-second penalty, is that Mason Turner with more problems in the number 8 and off of the circuit. He has gone, as I believe that's Jones, into the pit lane. And that might well be the end of the number 7's race, as it's the number 8 joining him at the back of the field, but not in the pit lane. Brewer might be looking to the inside line of Ellis, not quite. Scotty O'Connor's made his way onto the podium ahead of Callum Williams, and he's 2.2 off the back of Charlie Kelso, to be fair to him. Williams 7/10 off of the back of O'Connor, and Jake Critchley, well, there's not that much of a gap, no gap at all, in fact, between himself and Sean Duffy, and it comes down to straight line speed. Sean Duffy, though, looks like he's had a scruffy exit, and so Sweetman is able to maybe find his way through. They are side by side. How much space is allowed? Well, Critchley's taken to the off-road in order to try and give himself a little bit more space, which of course is not allowed, but the number 32 in 12th place is able to hold station in the end in terms of on track. But of course the stewards will be taking a little bit of a look at that. Oliver Sweetman chasing Critchley and looking to go for the move once again on the outside, switching to the inside for the next braking zone, but Critchley covering off the inside, but it's opened up on the exit because of the fact that he covered it off, so he took the risk and the reward wasn't quite what he wanted, but in the end it has been, because Sweetman has looked like he might have lifted just a little bit, or he might have struggled with his exit, so it comes down to the next braking zone where he tries to find his way through. Does he do so, or do they remain locked in battle? Well, the answer is they remain locked in battle for the time being, and it remains to be seen. Sweetman getting through, Critchley holding station as we're on to lap 5 and the halfway point of this evening's race. Tom Justice, of course, continues to lead the way, and well, he's taken advantage of his qualifying right at the back once again. A 10-second gap between himself and Charlie Kelso. The Sweetman, is he able to get through on Critchley in the end? Yes, he does. Critchley yields. Sweetman gains, and he moves up to 12th position for himself, which is a good move, all things considered, as Callum Williams back through on Scotty O'Connor, which appears to be a fight that they are really trying to maximise, which appears to be a fight that they are really trying to go at in this halfway mark, because they want that on-track third place. Slipstream is not that strong, all things considered, and so it makes sense to try and remain ahead. If the slipstream was a bit stronger, then they would worry about being behind, and it would be a tactical holding off to 4th place, but it's not. It's 3rd, as Barnaby Brewer and William Johnson are locked in battle, and Johnson looks like he's been he's just about going to have to drop behind Barnaby Brewer, moving up to 10th place. But Johnson switching back to the outside line, and this is what I mean. The slipstream doesn't matter that much. What does matter is the straight line speed of the car, and it looks as though William Johnson's straight line speed is far superior to that of Barnaby Brewer. But in the corners, that would mean, therefore, that Brewer is going to be quicker. So Johnson has to be smarter, and he's done just that as that's going to be Costello up into 4th place ahead of Scotty O'Connor. O'Connor fighting that one back. Sweetman has made his way through on Critchley, but he finds his next sticking point, which is going to be, I believe, Barnaby Brewer in 11th place, and then William Johnson in 10th. So 2 very quick drivers in their own right. And Sweetman, of course, he's had pace, he's had momentum, but he's struggled to actually hold that momentum. Big incident. Ricky Pittman is rear lifted off of the circuit, and that is him and Costello having a moment. Costello's facing the wrong way. Pittman has somehow managed to keep it in the straight and narrow, so fair play to him. But that is going to be Rossi Costello dropping right down the order. I mean, Ricky Pittman ended up almost sideways, and in the end got very lucky that the car of Costello was alongside him and was able to keep him going in a straight line, actually turned the car back around, and so he was able to recover from that one. But not so much luck as Barnaby Brewer getting sent on, really, by Oliver Sweetman, and 10th place does become the number 9's. Jake Critchley trying to take advantage, but he's not quite close enough just yet. But yeah, it's been a race and an evening of attrition, it seems, as Sutton and Stapleton bumping wheels. And it does feel as though the driver who has had not many incidents to speak of, the least incidents of everybody, as much as they can avoid it, to speak of, and it may well have been actually an internet issue for Ricky Pittman, which is why he ended up with his rear facing the air, which would be unfortunate for him, and also all the drivers that are fighting around him. It's never good to fight like that one, as it's being reviewed in the stewards room, a fight between Charlie Stapleton and James Sutton that got a bit scrappy straight after the hairpin. That's going to be one of the ones that's reviewed as much as they can live, and the majority of them will be looked at post-race when the stewards have all points of view and want to give a fair trial to everybody, unless it's blatantly obvious what's happened. Zane Quecker trying to rebuild his way through the field. Of course, he started off and then had it come to an abrupt end, and then he's trying to rebuild his way back through again. Sean Duffy just in behind, and or he's trying to find his own way in this race. Jake Critchley slow on the exit. Quecker looking maybe even to go off the circuit, but in the end just yielded, just sat behind. And Critchley looking to pull alongside Moron. He's going to ruin his exit out of the next corner, and that might see Quecker through if he's able to pull his car in the straight and narrow in enough time. And indeed he is. Can Critchley remain alongside? Well, this will be close between the two. Quecker giving him a right old squeeze. He's seen his racecraft work before. He's going to try and see his racecraft work again. Indeed it does, but he's later on the brakes, tapping Max Moron, pushing him slightly wide and taking 12th place. So that's potentially another one of those that might be looked at post-race. The driving standards today haven't quite been on the level of some of the other rounds we've had before, and let's hope they settle down with the last 5 minutes to go. William Johnson has picked up a 5-second time penalty today, but a lot of the drivers need to sort themselves out in terms of, have been able to sort themselves out from the last round to this one in terms of the race, the actual keeping it on the straight and narrow, which sounds simple, keeping it on the black stuff, which sounds simple, but it's not so simple for these drivers, just because it's so hard to not get caught up when you're fighting somebody else. It's so hard to not have that adrenaline coursing through your veins, and then you end up making a rash decision to run off the circuit and maybe spin around or something like that. As speaking of off the circuit, that was Costello going slightly off of the circuit. Just James Sutton dropping in behind, and it'll be Jaden Slater moving up ahead. Charlie Devlin continues his fight through the field. He's 5th place, and he's just gotten through on Scotty O'Connor. He sets his sights now on Ricky Pittman in the 15 for 4th place, and maybe even lofty ambitions of a late race podium here today for the number 23, after having to fight his way all the way through the field multiple times, and he will continue to fight his way through the field multiple times throughout the rest of the course of this season. We've got 2 rounds still to go after this one, and don't forget, you can get yourself involved as well. The Brands Hatch round still has opportunities to race, and I believe there may well still be opportunities to race in the final round of the season as well. If you would like to be involved in that one, it will be perfect acceleration sim racing that you are looking for in terms of picking up anything, in terms of signing up for the series, in terms of racing in the series, of course, which would come after signing up, although we've had one driver who signed up and has no showed this evening, which is interesting to say the least. But if you do want to sign up, head to www.perfectacceleration.co.uk/JSCC and get yourself involved for the final couple of rounds of the season if you can. If not, just the one round next week. I mean, double points, so still all on offer. Late lunge from Christopher Riley, potentially. He looked to the outside, switched to the inside, and then it became the outside line for the next corner. If he's later on the brakes, he'll be able to pull it through on Scotty O'Connor. And, well, this one is going to continue down to the main straight. It's a good exit from O'Connor, but it's also a good exit from Riley. So they match each other, basically. And we will see what we can do. We'll see what they can do, even as well, O'Connor was going to be 8/10 slower than Riley on the previous lap. So there's a part of you that I think would feel as though you'd want to yield it, Scotty O'Connor, and not lose too much time. There's a part of you that goes, why on earth would I yield it? And in the end, he's forced into a decision, and that decision is to let Christopher Riley go. Never mind, I believe that's contact between Christopher Riley and the car in behind, so a car not even involved in that battle very briefly, but it looks like that might have been Jacob Ellis that had contact with Riley and dropped him down to 11th place. As I say, race for attrition. I'll say it again and again and again. It's so important to keep your stamina. It's so important to keep it clean. It's so important to, I think, even because we saw the driving standards in race 1, it's almost important to not trust any of the other drivers around you, just in case anything is to go wrong, because of course we will be getting a lot of conversations post-race about a lot of the moments that have happened here today. And well, we've only got just under 2 minutes left in this race session. We have our clear leader and our clear victor, if no mistakes are made, from the car of Tom Justice, the number 57, 17 seconds up on Charlie Kelso at the moment. And well, we will see what they're going to be able to do, but Kelso might lose more time, and he might lose even a position, as that is Callum Williams on the inside line, second place for the all-comers might be on, or it might be Charlie Kelso for the scholarship class. These two representatives of two different classes coming together and fighting, and Ricky Pittman, it will make it 3 wide, heading down towards the first corner. They will remain 3 wide, but in the end, it's the straight line speed from Charlie Kelso that edges him ahead. Ricky Pittman sends it, has a huge slide, but the traction on these cars has somehow allowed him to slide back into 4th place. Yes, he's lost time. Yes, he's lost the position, but somehow he has held on to that car and not had huge problems. It's opened the door for Devlin to get back through, and it's also handed a 5-second penalty the number 15's way. So Ricky Pittman, 5 seconds for him. That'll only drop him 1 position, and well, I'd imagine he's going to let Charlie Devlin go relatively easily, unless he feels as though Devlin might have a penalty, which of course he did in race 1. And Ricky Pittman does appear to be trying to push him a little bit wide, trying to fight him a little bit. He's caught in 2 minds here, as Charlie Kelso holds on to 2nd place. Charlie Devlin holds on to that line and desperately tries to find his way through very shortly, but he cannot quite get the opportunity to do so. And Pittman holds on ahead of Devlin once again, as Charlie Kelso could be on for 2nd place here today, and Williams might have to hold on to 3rd. We'll see. Towards the end of this one, 15 seconds to go, and Tom Justice will be coming to the line with not much time to go. So I think this may well be the final lap, the final opportunity for these drivers to fight. And well, Tom Justice, he has driven incredibly in this race. He has not been shown on broadcast once, and he's not even going to get shown when he crosses the line. He's just about going to get shown. The number 57 is a race victor, and he is going to continue his championship charge, and his tactical battle from the back to the front of the grid has worked once again. Charlie Kelso leads this group, and you've got 2 cars going sideways in it. Ricky Pittman somehow manages to come through into third place. But, of course, 5 seconds is going to drop him back past Williams and Devlin. Those two came together around the final corner. The 934 ended up ahead of the 23 in 5th place. And it's going to be 6th for William Johnson, 7th for Scotty O'Connor, 8th for Jacob Ellis, Sweetman in 9th, Brewer in 10th, Riley in 11th, Jake Critchley in 12th place, Max Moron in 13th, Charlie Stapleton in 14th, Sean Duffy 15th, John T. Restrick in 16th, Jaden Slater in 17th, Zane Quecker an unfortunate 18th for him, which means that he's not able to take advantage of the poor race 1 from Devlin to an extent. The lower than expectations race 2, I know he finished 5th, but he's got very high expectations. Then Mason Turner, James Sutton, Aidan Ingram, and then Dominic Jones and Callum Paris with Rossi Costello. He's going to be the only DNF from this race. He wasn't the only DNF from race 1, but he's certainly not had a great time here today, unfortunately for him, and he finds himself out of both races here this evening. He was one of the 2 new sign-ups. Well, at least he turned up. But I mean, it's another gamble taken. It's another victorious gamble taken for Tom Justice, and he joins me now. Well, I mean, you've done it again. You've ended up taking the victory again, and that was in dominant fashion, wasn't it?
Yeah, kind of the same as last week, to be honest. Just worked again.
Yeah, it certainly was. It certainly was similar to last week. And if you could turn down some audio, because I can hear myself and I can also hear your car, that would be wonderful just for the viewing experience, for the viewers' experience. But I mean, it was a very, very good race from yourself indeed. And well, that gamble from the back of the grid, that's almost propelled you into championship contention. I mean, with 2 rounds to go, with Brands Hatch on the line, double points next week. Are you thinking about the championship?
I mean, with Charlie, I don't think I can win it, but I mean, the top 5 would be really nice, to be honest. But yeah, I'll just do what I can do.
Yeah, ultimately, I mean, that's the main thing, and it's very, very good to see yourself fighting at the front. But I'll let you go celebrate. I won't hold you too long, otherwise we'll be having a similar conversation to the one that we had last week. But yeah, well done, Tom, and we'll see you next time out. Double points for our first and reverse race at Brands Hatch. So yeah, we'll see you then. And we are joined by Callum Williams, who ended up winning the all-comers class that round. And well, the all-comers has sort of been, they've been in the shadow of the scholarship class this season, but they've picked up a podium here today, and it's Callum Williams who took it home. Just, I mean, how did that one feel?
There was a lot of ducking and diving. I was aiming for people, picking them off one by one. A lot of chaos at the start, but hey ho. Yeah,
certainly was. It was. There was a lot of carnage. Was it just a case of trying to fight your way through, and or was it more of a case of just sitting back and letting them do their thing in a sense?
Oh yeah, it was right good fun.
It certainly was.
But
certainly,
when you see a Charlie Devlin in the mirror, it's time to worry.
It certainly is, and well, I mean, you've got Charlie Devlin who's on that pace, and you've got, of course, you've got Jordan Taylor who will be back next week, and he's in your class, and he's on similar pace to Charlie Devlin if round 1 is to be believed. So, of course, now you're the championship leader in the all-comers class. Are you feeling threatened by Jordan Taylor, even though he's only been here for 1 round so far, in terms of the championship?
You've always got to be worried, haven't you? You can't be relaxed. You can't, like, say, drop your guard or anything like that. You got to be up there. Can't say, be relaxed and drop points.
Yeah, certainly so. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Callum, and well, we'll be seeing you next time out at Brands Hatch.
All right, see you.
And as I mentioned in our interview just before with our overall race winner, Tom Justice, we will be having a double points round next week. It will be the penultimate round of the season. It might be the most important one for points, but let's have a look at the points for this round before all the penalties have been reviewed, of course. Charlie Devlin, 133 points in the lead of this one, and William Johnson finds himself in second now with 110, jumping above Zane Quecker after a poor race 2. He's 3 points behind. Tom Justice moves up to 4th place alongside Ricky Pittman. They're joint on 97, and Callum Williams is in 6th place. 17 points off of those two, so a big gap between them. Oliver Sweetman is in 7th place, and then Christopher Riley is in 8th, and actually does lead the all-comers class. Jacob Ellis is in 9th, and Jake Critchley rounds out the top 10. John T. Restrick in 11th, Jaden Slater in 12th, Barnaby Brewer in 13th, and Charlie Kelso in 14th, Charlie Stapleton in 15th, and then Sean Duffy with Max Moron, Scotty O'Connor, Jordan Taylor, and Andrew Bailey rounding out the top 20. Aidan Ingram in 21st, Lucas Chatterton, who's not competing anymore, in 22nd, Dominic Jones in 23rd, Mason Turner 24th, James Sutton 25th, Callum Paris with 4 penalty points to his name. Of course, we knew about Andrew Bailey's, but now Callum Paris with his 4, he's in 26th. Dino Rowlands, Adam Canour, Willis Harrison King, and then Rossi Costello is going to round out the top 30 in this field. And well, it was an interesting night of action, that is for sure. A lot of the drivers not taking to this circuit as much as they would have liked to, and actually I will correct myself, Callum Williams is the leader of the class. But we will head to Brands Hatch next week, we will head to Croft the week after, and Brands Hatch might be the most important one in terms of the championship, because double points will be on offer for all of the drivers who make the trip to Kent. But that'll be it for this broadcast, and we will be seeing you next time out. From myself, Joseph Black, from my broadcast director, Tom O'Farrell, representing 2F Media Productions, from the same man representing Perfect Acceleration Sim Racing as the series organiser, and the safety car driver, race director Peter Cornelius, and the clerk of the course, Craig Shawnee. It is goodbye.